Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty. This is the New Cosmic Knowledge Channel. So good to be back in the studio. So good to have the Mac up and running again. It's crazy. Nothing worked in South Florida. Everything works here. There's probably a message in that somewhere. But speaking of everything working, and speaking of getting things right, and speaking of being where you need to be and being who you need to be, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to talk to you today about having options or having opinions. And you can have one or the other, ladies and gentlemen. You can either have opinions or you can have options. If you listen to Not Your Normal Sunday show today with myself and Wayne Steiger, you were treated to a great show. You were treated to a great bunch of teaching, great bunch of sharing. And I think that you were able to really get some good stuff, especially if you're dealing with some issues. We shared very openly about dealing with issues, and I think that it's going to be very helpful. So check that out. And we've got great stuff coming up tomorrow on The Last Stand with Jay Campbell. We've got Rex Bear coming up. We've got Derek Bros coming up. I'm going to be kicking off Serpent and Dove again. We're going to be talking about the masculine and feminine parts of ourselves, and we'll be talking about relationships. Say, Jeff, how can you talk about relationships? Well, I've screwed up enough of them to be able to give some decent advice. So Serpent and Dove, masculinity, femininity, sacred masculine, sacred feminine, and even touching on the dangerous third rail of relationships. Ladies and gentlemen, you can have opinions or you can have options. What am I talking about? When you have a strongly held opinion about something, you are limiting your options. You're limiting your options mentally. You're limiting your options spiritually as well, I believe. Let me share what I'm talking about. There's a thing called mental plasticity. And that doesn't mean that your head is full of BPAs. It means that you're able to mentally hold more than one opinion about a certain subject simultaneously within your brain. I believe it is a sign of maturity. I believe it is a sign of a objective, empirical thinker. And I think it's a sign of immaturity. I think it's a sign of a mentally weak person that's not able to act with mental plasticity. You are not smart enough, I don't care who you are, to know everything. You are not smart enough to be so possessed of an opinion that you can't hold the opportunity or the possibility that you could be wrong and there could be more for you to learn. You're not that smart. I'm not that smart. We are not that smart. As long as we're breathing air, as long as we're walking around on 2 feet, or those of us that can't walk anymore, while we're here, it's impossible for you to know everything. In mental plasticity, or the lack thereof, carries over inexorably, invariably is a better word, inevitably is an even better word, into your spiritual nature. If you can't maintain mental plasticity, you will never be able to approach spiritual plasticity or emotional plasticity. And that makes you shallow, that makes you narrow, that makes you limited, and that makes you somebody that I would want to avoid in my life. Because I don't have room for know-it-alls. I don't have room for those that don't have room to know more. Not in my life, cousin. Not anymore. We're the last generation of real people. And folks, we got to get busy. And I don't have time to spend my time with know-it-all knuckleheads. I don't have time to spend my time with knuckleheads that don't think they need to know anymore. I just don't have time to spend my life with those kinds of people. And I was going to say I'm sorry, but I'm really not, because that's just the way it is. I don't have time for it. I look for people that display mental plasticity. I look for people that display emotional plasticity. I look for people especially that display spiritual plasticity. I don't want to hang around with you if you've got it all figured out on a physical, real world level. because I know that you're not going to be able to bring me any new ideas because you're not looking for any new ideas. I want people that are on the cutting edge of the cutting edge. I like people that are even on the bleeding edge and not just the leading edge. I like people that are ahead of their time. I like trendsetters. I like people that are out there not afraid to take a chance. So I want people that way mentally. I want people that way emotionally. I don't want someone that's so locked into their own narrative that anything that challenges their narrative, boom, blows them up into a tither, blows them up into a dither. If you got anger problems, cousin, it's because you don't have any mental or emotional plasticity, almost guaranteed. If you got anger problems, that means that when something comes into your world that is outside of your script, your narrative, your paradigm, that's why you blow up. That's why you get upset, because someone who gets upset and who blows up and gets all emotional, that is a sure sign of a mind that has run out of rational things to say, think, or do. To be very blunt, it's a sign of being crazy or lazy. Take your pick. I have no room for those with no mental plasticity. I have no room for those with mental rigidity. I've got no room for those with emotional rigidity. It's no fun to be around those kind of people, because they're the only constant in life is change. The only thing that you can be sure of is that your narrative and your paradigms are going to be challenged. And cousins, you don't want to be with someone who blows a gasket every time his or her paradigm is challenged. You don't want to be with someone or around someone or in league with someone who every time their paradigm or narrative is challenged blows a gasket. It's exhausting, it's dangerous, and you can't learn anything there. Give me the person who gets their paradigm challenged and ponders. Give me the person who gets their paradigm challenged and considers. Give me the person who doesn't react in anger, but rather reacts with interest. Give me the person that doesn't react with anger, but reacts with intrigue. That's the person I want to be around, because that's mental plasticity. They can maintain multiple ideas in their mind at the same time, even if those ideas are incongruent, even if those ideas are contradictory. They can see the possibility. It's like you people, Earth is flat, period. Earth is round, period. I can maintain a mental plasticity that allows for both. And the real mental plasticity is, I've never been in orbit, been close, looked around. I've never been in orbit, so I can't really tell you what it is. But I can maintain a mental plasticity about it, so I can learn and understand and not get mad at people that don't believe what I believe. I can maintain an emotional plasticity. If I maintain emotional plasticity, I maintain emotional stability. There's very, very few things that can set me off, and there's even fewer now that can set me off, because I've chosen to live in peace. And there's not that many people that I care that much about what they think to be able to get myself out of peace. I'm not going to let anyone be my God. And when you let someone decide how you're going to act and react and feel, when you let someone's actions determine the emotions that you're going to allow to subject yourselves to, cousin, you're out of control, and you're letting that person be your God. I don't have the shirt on today, but I'm divine. I'm sovereign. I'm free. And that means that I don't have to listen to you. That means that you're not driving my bus as we hit 24,940 subscribers. I'd love to get over. We will get into 25,000 today, ahead of our goal to do it by the end of the month. Thank you so much for that. And I love having both my computers up and running again. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are not in control of your emotions, it's because you have emotional rigidity. If you get mad when you don't want to get mad, if you get sad when you don't want to get sad, if you're manic depressive, if you're up, down, and all around, it's not because you need, what's those drugs that they give you? Zoloft, I don't think it's Zoloft. What is it? Lithium. It doesn't mean you need lithium. It means you need a little discipline. It means that you need to grow spiritually. It probably means you need to forgive yourself and move beyond whatever it is that gets you into a place of emotional rigidity. But all it is when things come up that are outside of your preferred paradigm or narrative, you blow up. That's because you don't have emotional plasticity. If something happens to me that's outside of my narrative or my paradigm, I'm like, okay, let me ponder this. Let me learn from this. Let me see what this is. Now, sometimes I have to chew my tongue off almost to keep from reacting, but I don't react anymore. I've decided that I'm divine, I'm sovereign, I'm free. You're not my God, off my cloud. You don't get to decide how I feel, only I do. That's a place of emotional plasticity, and that's a place of emotional maturity. A place of mental plasticity is a place of mental maturity, and mental rigidity is mental immaturity. Emotional rigidity is emotional immaturity. Plain and simple. If you can't control your emotional states, you can't control yourself, you're immature. You're out of control. We're the last generation of real humans. You got to get yourself under control, cousin, because you're wasting a lot of time, you're wasting a lot of energy, and you're breathing air that we could be breathing to fuel ourselves to get this business done. We're tired of pulling your weight. Ladies and gentlemen, this is real world stuff. And the most important part is if you can develop mental plasticity, if you can develop emotional plasticity, that's going to lead inevitably to spiritual plasticity. And you won't have to argue flat earth, round earth. You won't have to argue reincarnation or not reincarnation. You don't have to argue demons, interdimensionals, extraterrestrials. You don't have to argue the minutia of things. You can allow yourself to remain open to differing possibilities. That allows yourself to have options, and your brain can receive information from all different types of input and opinion. Mental plasticity, emotional plasticity leads to spiritual plasticity, leads to spiritual maturity. I like what the global witness Derek Rose says. Don't pick a side. Don't have an opinion. Because once you have an opinion, you have limited your options. Because if I say I have an opinion, I think that. Well, once I think that, it means I know that. And once I know something, I've stopped thinking. I know that red and black checkerboards mean the Illuminati. So I've stopped thinking, and I'm not open to input like he just likes red and black, and his neighbors were mad at him for being too noisy, so he put up soundproofing and likes the way it looks, and now won't take it down because he likes tweaking dummies. See, you limit yourself to that possibility of understanding that possibility. And if you limit yourself with mental rigidity, if you don't exercise mental plasticity, then you can't be open to new ideas. And if you limit yourself to emotional rigidity and don't have emotional plasticity, then you're going to be out of control and blowing up and crying, and you're not going to be in control of your own emotions. If you're not in control of your own emotions, you're not in control of your own life. And you need to get to work right now. And if you don't have spiritual maturity, you're never going to get yourself where you want to go, and you're never going to help anybody else get to where they want to go. You can have opinions or you can have options. When I was in sales, I had a good boss named Dan Pearson, and he used to say, you can feed your family or you can feed your ego. You can feed your mental plasticity or you can feed your ego. Because in the end of the day, if you think that you know it all, you are ate up with ego. If you have emotional rigidity and you think that you have the right to act any way you want to act, you have the right to be out of control, you are ate up with ego. If you feel like you know everything there is to know spiritually and there's no room for you to learn, you are ate up with ego. And in this case, that ego ain't your amigo. Bad Captain Kirk's on the command chair. Bad Captain Kirk's on the throne. Listen to this morning's show. You'll know exactly what I mean. Whenever you state an opinion, that means you've said, I think I know, so I've stopped thinking. I don't have opinions anymore. Jeff, water always finds its level. Do you think the earth is flat? That's an interesting observation. Jeff, these beings that come and mess with me at night, I know they're demons, right? That's a very interesting thought. Well, that means that you don't have any convictions. No, I do have convictions, but they're mine, and I don't have to put them out there because I value my mental, emotional, and spiritual plasticity more than I value your opinion about me not voicing an opinion. I don't want to say I don't care what you think, but I care much less about your opinion of me not voicing an opinion than I care about preserving my mental, my emotional, my spiritual plasticity. I care much, much, much more about giving myself mental, emotional, and spiritual options than I care about satisfying your egoic need to know what I think. Isn't this fun? Isn't this interesting? When you have opinions, you don't have any options. And when you don't have any options, you don't have any opportunities. I want to have maximum opportunities in my life. I want to have maximum opportunities in my life. That's why I'll hang out with people that say people say I shouldn't hang out with. That's where I'll go, why I go places that people say I shouldn't go to. That's why I do things that people say I shouldn't do. That's why I say things that people say I shouldn't say. That's why I make podcasts that people say I shouldn't make. Because I don't have any opinions, but I have lots of options. And I do that because lots of options give me lots of opportunities. It's taken me 55 years to learn these things. You can take the next 55 to learn them on your own. Or you can take a lesson from me, cousin, and start putting them into effect. You'll be a whole lot happier when you do. You can have opinions, or you can have options. And if you choose to have options, you'll also have a lot of opportunities. This is how you indoctrinate yourself. This is how you create yourself and the life you'll love to live. This is the inside job, ladies and gentlemen. This is what I mean when I say ask questions and question answers. We are the last generation of real humans. And it's one thing to get busy, but it's another thing to get effective. I'd like to see you both, but I'd rather see you effective. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's get ourselves out of the opinion business, because that business is not booming. And let's get ourselves into the option business and the opportunity business, because, cousin, that business is a booming. We're the last generation of real humans. It's time for us to get busy.